Hello everyone, this is Simply Syrup coming to you with another video today from Steam's brand new game, Terra Invicta. And this video is going to be about selecting the right counselors for your playthrough. I really believe that the counselors are the most important resource at your disposal in Terra, so I had to jump in and share what I know about them. As always, I really hope you enjoyed the video and are able to take some good actionable information away to be used in your own playthrough. I'm so excited to be bringing you another video today, but before we get into the content, I just wanted to take a quick moment to say thank you for giving my channel a try, and I also wanted to encourage new viewers to consider liking this video and subscribing so we can continue to grow together. Thanks so much again for stopping by, but before I take up any more of your time, let's get into the video. The importance of your council members cannot be overstated. In the early, mid, and late game, it is your council members who will be rolling up their sleeves and getting the dirty work done for you. Having a good team behind you can really boost you up, especially in the early game, just like having a bad team can wreck your career from the start. But what exactly separates a good council member from a bad may not be too obvious, so in this video we will be going over exactly how to pick the best council members to maximize your playthrough potential. The big topic of today's video is going to be synergy, because that's what a good hire will bring to the table. There is no single stat, mission, monthly income, attribute, or trait that will guarantee a good hire for your faction. Instead, it's about how all these come together to make a complete force for your team. So as we go over each factor of a good council member, try to keep in mind the big picture and how each characteristic complements others. Let's start the meat of this video off by going over which attributes are important, because these should be the first thing you consider when looking for a new council member. Look for high point values in the categories we are about to go over, but remember, even an insanely high attribute score is not enough to make a good council member right for you. You need to remember the synergy we talked about earlier and look at the bigger picture. By far, the most important attribute in the early game is persuasion, and if you aren't gifted a high persuasion character at the game start, you will need to be looking to pick one up as soon as possible. Persuasion will be used to do missions such as control and public opinion, probably the two most important missions there are, but we will be going over that in just a second. The benefits of a high persuasion character are second to none in Terra Invicta, and anyone you see with a high persuasion stat deserves a deep dive into their resume. The next most important attribute to look for will probably be a tie between espionage and command. These two are very similar to each other in terms of effects and their available missions. Both are great for taking control points away from other factions, unlike persuasion, which deals a little bit more in taking open control points. These will be your heavy hitters, and it's super important that you have at least one high espionage or command council member with good missions. The first two hires you need to make need to be proficient in the persuasion and espionage/command categories, but they need a little bit more than just good attributes. They must have the appropriate missions available for their attributes. Generally speaking, the more missions a council member has available, the better they are. But if you remember from our last video when we talked about how specialization is so important when managing countries, the same is true for your council. It's much better to hire someone who is really good at one or two things as opposed to having someone who can do everything but not very well. When it comes to the persuasion missions, your hire absolutely needs to have the public opinion option available to them, especially if you want to take an interest in a large country at some point in your playthrough. The public opinion mission is, of course, good for turning the public to your point of view, making it easier to gain control points or remove other factions' control points in a specific country. It's an absolute necessity for your high persuasion character and should be the #1 mission to look for when making your selection. When it comes to espionage and command, you absolutely must have the Purge mission for an espionage candidate. This allows you to take control a point from an enemy using faction influence. And if you have a command-centered player instead of espionage, you really need to have the coup d'etat, which overthrows the local government and resets its control point using ops. The third thing you should consider when looking at potential council members is their traits, and for how important this is, and it is extremely important, I don't really have any good information to share on this. There are just so many different traits that it's hard to hone in on the most or least important ones that you can encounter, but maybe someday we can go over them on this channel. I would just recommend the same thing as always when evaluating traits. Try to keep the bigger picture in mind, and see if the traits possessed appear to go well with the desired function of the council member and your goals for your current playthrough. Once you have looked through the attributes, missions, and traits of your potential employee, then it's time to take a look at their monthly incomes. I really believe of all the things to consider that the monthly income is the last thing you should take into account, because unless it's super early in the game, you should be finding other ways to get resources beyond what your council members can generate. Nonetheless, monthly income is important, and I wanted to point out here that the most important monthly income is boost. If you can find a council member that could possibly supply extra boost to your faction, then you should seriously be considering them even if they have low attributes, bad traits, and not very many missions. Boost is one of the most important resources in the game, and it's super slow to come by, so a council member that could contribute to this would really go a long way. I also wanted to mention in this guide that if a council member has all the goods but is just a little behind in attributes, you can always level them up later. The good thing about leveling up is that it doesn't take any of your resources and instead simply uses experience that the council member personally has gained. Additionally, because you are able to level up your council members, age does play a big role in the hiring process. Your council members can and will die of old age if you plan on having a long playthrough. So I had to include this in here, that going for younger candidates is often more beneficial in the long run than taking experienced older members. There is no possible way we can get into all the different orgs in this video. We are already out of time, but hopefully we can come back to this and the traits later and talk about how they are intertwined. Orgs was one of the things I wish I had known about sooner, and I don't think I even bought one in my first playthrough, and that was a pretty big mistake. Let's just put a pin in this for now and come back to it at a later point. Just remember that orgs can not only provide powerful bonuses, but also new missions as well. Well, that's all the time we have for today's video. I wish we could have expanded on this topic more, but because there is so much information I wanted to share today. But we only have so much time in each video. For those of you who have made it this far, I wanted to give a big thank you for supporting the channel. I also wanted to encourage you here to consider subscribing because we will be coming out with more Terra Invicta content soon that you won't want to miss. I had so much fun making this video and I would really like to continue the series, but that's really up to you, the people, to decide. So, if you want to see more, make sure to subscribe, like, or comment so I know that there is at least one thing I did right in this video. As always, feel free to check the video description for a link to my Twitch channel where we are playing the newest and best games like Terra Invicta almost daily. I absolutely cannot wait to bring you more Terra Invicta content very soon, and I hope to see you there. I'm currently having so much fun in my own playthroughs, and I'm so excited for the opportunity to bring you some of my knowledge. So, thank you so much again for watching. Until next time, this is Simply Syrup signing off.